Hello and welcome. Today I'm going to be talking about patch 2.15, which was released today on the 21st of January 2014. So I just wanted to go through the patch notes and see what's changed in the game. So these are the patch notes, which are available on the Lodestone, link in the description, and I just wanted to give my own interpretation of what they mean and what you can expect to see in game when you log in for the first time. So as you can see, patch 2.15, it says patch 2.15 has gone live, introducing a number of additions and refinements to the Wolves Den, Fates and Crystal Tower and much more. So we can see here it says by defeating the numerous rapidly spawning enemies in the quest you have selected Regicide, players were able to acquire excessive experience in a short period of time. To preserve game balance, these enemies will no longer yield experience or items. Okay? So they basically just nerfed a quest which was overpowered, so that the enemies don't give any experience anymore, because I'm guessing people were just farming the monsters rather than just doing the quest. And then it says the following revisions have been made to Beast Tribe quests. So it says an additional quest have been added to the Sylph Tribe dailies available at rank 3. The population of Beast Tribe enemies has been increased and the spawn rate of enemies has been increased. This just means that there's more variety to rank 3. That's all it means. You'll still do you still have a maximum of 6 a day. So don't think that this is an increase in the amount you can do per day. It's just an increase in the amount of variety per day. And then it says guild leaves. So it says in Battlecraft Escort leaves, emotes used to guide NPCs will now be effective from longer range. So it says to preserve game balance in light of this, the difficulty of the following guild leaves has been increased. So it says Wonder Wine, Little Lost Lamb, Someone's in the Doghouse, Pets of Family 2, one of our naturalists is missing. So it says escort guild leaves in addition to those listed above may be subject to adjustments in the future. So all they're basically saying is that you can use the beacon command doing escort leaves from a much further distance, but for that reason they've decided to increase probably the distance you have to travel. That's what they mean by the difficulty has been increased. That's what it means. It's that you have to travel a further distance, because a lot of people have been doing this one of our naturalists is missing, and I mean I was doing it as well, funny enough, because it gives in less than a minute something like 18,000 experience, and it takes you maybe 20 seconds to get the NPC back to the town. So obviously they've made it more hard, just so you have to work harder for it. Okay, so it says guild tests. So it says due to the increased participation of level sync players, completion of guild tests has become easier than anticipated. To restore game balance, the level cap for all guild tests has been reduced by 1. So you'll be 1 level lower doing guild tests just to make it more of a challenge, let's say a little bit more. So okay, so that's fair enough, because people are doing guild tests these days for duty roulette, and yeah, they are very easy. So anyway, Fates. So it says the following changes have been made to Beast Tribe Fates. So the rate at which the Fates appear has been increased. Great, that means they respawn more often. And it says players who receive a gold or silver rating will be rewarded the quest items regardless of completion of the following Fates. So it says a wrench in the works, what a bore, quenching the flame. So okay, so yeah, so that's basically just because some of these fates, when you're doing Beast Tribe fates, you had to wait around sometimes 20 minutes, half an hour for them to spawn. So they've obviously made them more quicker and easier to do, because it is just a daily quest. And then it says the difficulty of the following fates required to unlock the Labyrinth of the Ancient has been decreased. So they're the 4 fates that you had to do to unlock Labyrinth of the Ancients. So they just made it easier, because I'm guessing that once people unlock it, they don't really have any reason to do it again. So this is more to benefit the players who are doing it later. And okay, so dungeons. So it says the following changes have been made to the Labyrinth of the Ancients. So it says when queuing to join a party in progress, the party's current progression will no longer be shown by the duty finder. Okay, so you will no longer see the full breakdown of 12 DPS, 6 tanks and 6 healers. It will just say what's in progress. I think that's to just stop people from, you know, guessing or changing class or whatever. So it says, in the event all but one party member leaves the instance, the remaining party member will not receive loot until they have cast lot on said item. In the event no one lots on an item, it will be lost when all party members leave the instance. So what was happening before patch 2.15 is that if you got to the last boss of the dungeon and then everyone leaves all of a sudden and you haven't rolled on an item, it would automatically go to you using your 1 item per week slot, and I actually had that happen to me. Thankfully the item I got was the Crown of Light, which wasn't a total waste, but it was like a forced lot which I wasn't anticipating, so this is to resolve that. And it says, this is a new addition, it says, on rare occasions a 4th treasure chest will appear upon defeating the last boss of Labyrinth of the Ancient. This 4th treasure chest contains a Dimension Blade fragment that can be used to create a Savage Arc of Triumph furnishing. So it's just a random, this fragment, this Dimension Blade fragment is just an item used to craft this furniture. And it said, this 4th treasure chest, should this 4th treasure chest appear, all members of the Alliance are allowed to cast lots. Players can only obtain 1 Dimension Blade fragment per week. Okay? So it says, in order to prevent RMT abuse, bronze beetles in Wanderer's Palace will no longer yield gil. So apparently they were being farmed just for the sake of the gil, so that they don't drop gil anymore. And then it says, the difficulty of Thorn March has been decreased. Thorn March is the fight for King Mogulmog. So it means the King Mogulmog fight has been nerfed, just to make it easier for people. And then Grand Companies, the following items can now be redeemed for company seals. So miniature Aetherites, you can buy them for 15k if you're the right rank for it. And then I'm assuming one of these is actually meant to be second Serpent Lieutenant, but it's a typo that said Storm twice. And it says, players can now place a miniature Aetherite in the garden of their estate. Once a miniature Aetherite has been set, the estate will be added to your list of teleport locations, which is kind of nice. So you can just use the Aethernet to get straight to your home point if you're in the right town. So it says, although the miniature Aethernet cannot be set as a favoured destination, the cost of teleportation will be the same as that of favoured destinations. Okay, so it says the Astistician will now offer additional face paint options. Cool, so we have to see what he has to offer. I'll have to do that in game sometime. So it says here, battle systems. So as an adjustment to overall game balance in both PvE and PvP, the decreased HP recovery via Curing Magic additional effect of Storm's Eye has been reduced from 50% to 20%. Okay, that's fair enough. And so it says an adjustment to overall game balance in both PvE and PvP, the decreased HP recovery via Curing Magic additional effect Miasma and Miasma 2 has been reduced from 50% to 20%. Okay, and then it says the following balance adjustment apply only to the Wolves Den. So this is only a PvP adjustment. So it says the PvP action Weapon Throw will trigger additional effects regardless of positioning. Okay, so it says Arcanists and Summoners can no longer use the spell Resurrection, and I say thank God for that, because if you had a group that had Summoners in it, then they had an extra Resurrection, which was just not fair compared to the other groups. So it should only be the healers who can res fallen players. And then it says the status effect Disease no longer inflicts the heavy effect. Okay, so let's see. So Disease is no longer going to just make people run around slower, which again was favoured towards Summoners. In order to prevent unbalanced party compositions when using the Duty Finder, the following changes to party requirements has been made only for the Wolves Den. So before you had to have 1 tank, 1 healer, 2 DPS. Now they've made it that you need 1 tank, 1 healer, 1 melee DPS and 1 range DPS. They've defined the melee DPS as a Pugilist, Lancer, Monk or Dragoon, a range DPS as an Archer, Thaumaturge, Arcanist, Bard, Black Mage or Summoner. So when it used to be like this, you would often see parties which were like 2 Black Mages or 2 Summoners and stuff, which was just really unbalanced compared to the random other teams. So now they're trying to rebalance it out. And it said it has been determined that pre-formed parties of 3 often have an unfair advantage in the Wolves' Den. So this is when you have 3 players who work together and then just use a 4th. But they do this to avoid the full-on 4 versus 4 queue. You know, they do it to still get into the duty finder without having to keep facing random players rather than facing whole teams. So it says, however, the addition of a solo matching category would not only increase queue times but hinder smaller parties that wish to participate together. Therefore, the following adjustments have been made to rewards based on party composition. So players who register for the Wolves' Den solo or in a party of 2 will receive increased PvP experience and Wolves marks regardless of match's outcome. So basically, if you queue solo or in a party of 2, you'll get an increase in the amount of experience and points. So it says players who register for the Wolves' Den in a light party, 4 players, will receive increased PvP XP, Wolves mark regardless of match's outcome. So basically what they're saying is if you queue in with just 3 players to have an unfair advantage in PvP, then you're not going to get any advantage basically. In fact, you're going to have the worst possible amount of VXP and Wolf marks compared to anyone else. So it says geared-related balance issues between beginning and advanced players will be addressed in patch 2.2. Okay, so we just have to wait for that. And then it says the cost in Wolf marks of the following items has been reduced. So these are the materials that you can put onto your PvP gear that have things like blunt resist, sleep resist, stuff like that. They were incredibly overpriced, as you can see. So they're now reducing all the materials down from 1250 down to 375, which is great. I'm not 100% sure what the Fury's Anthem is for, but it's still a good reduction in price for it, so great. And then it says, when exchanging wolf marks for items in the Wolves' Den pier, a message will now be displayed when attempting to purchase gear that exceeds your current rank. So it will basically say that if you're trying to buy something which is PvP rank 30, and you're not even PvP rank 30 yet, then it will warn you about that, just so you don't waste your points on gear that you can't actually wear. So it says, in order to prevent harassment during PvP matches, emotes will no longer display in the chat log when inside the Wolves' Den. Okay, so no more emotes. You can still do the emote, I mean there's nothing to stop you that, but it will not display in the chat log. And then it says, new items have been added. So the Dimension Blade Fragment, which is what they talked about before, this is what drops from the last boss in a Crystal Tower that you have a chance of looting from the 4th chest. And it says, the Savage Arc of Triumph furnishing a memorial gate made using the Fell Blade of Archeron. So as you can see here, this is what it would look like if you were to put it into your housing estate. So, and then a new recipe has been added, Savage Arc of Triumph. So because it has Electrum ingots, Dark Steel ingots, and the Dimension Blade Fragment and Tourmaline, I recognize this immediately that this is a goldsmithing recipe. So if you go into Goldsmith and then click Housing in your recipe log, then you will see this item has been added in. I'm assuming it's going to be a 2-star, level 50 2-star item as well. So it says, okay, the purchase and sale price of the following items has been adjusted. So bronze rivets, they now, before they used to be bought for 4 gil, now they're bought for 13. Iron rivets, 73 gil. Steel rivets, 313. Mithril rivets, 583. So that's gone up. And then sale prices, so the amount you sell to a vendor, has also been increased for all these items. Not that I ever needed to sell these to vendors anyway. So it says, the following changes have been made to gathering points, which is used for gathering such as botanist, miner and fishing. So players will now also accumulate GP when playing as a Disciple of War, Magic the Hand. The GP will no longer reset when changing to a non-gathering class. So the idea is that the GP will keep restoring itself even when you change class, whereas before it wouldn't. And what also would happen is that if you change to a non-gathering class, it will go down to 0, which meant when you change back to your gathering class, it will start at 0 and have to refill, which was really, really annoying. So this will allow it to refill regardless what you're doing. So it says, okay, a system. So this is a new feature they've added in. It's called the Vote Abandon function has been added, making it possible to abandon a duty without penalty if the following conditions are met. So light party, 2 players, not including the initiating player, must vote yes to disband and end the duty. So that basically means that if an initiating player says abandon duty, at least 2 out of the other 3 players must vote yes, at least 2. And then for a full party, which is 8 man, it says 4 players, not including the initiating player, must vote yes to disband and end the duty. Which means if you have 8 players, 1 has initiated the vote, 4 out of the other 7 must vote yes, which is basically just saying that this will work by majority. And it says while in a duty, open the duty finder interface. Under the duty on the main menu, then select vote abandon. So you open the duty finder here, as you can see, pressing I, and then it says all party members will be presented with a window to vote. If the majority votes yes within 30 seconds, the duty will be abandoned. So that's the button right there. This is when you're in a dungeon. And it says to prevent abuse of vote dismiss when casting lots on items, the vote dismiss function can no longer be used when an item is in, which is great. So it means that, I don't know if that was even happening, but they must have added it in for a reason, so you can no longer kick someone while they're trying to get an item, for example. And duty roulette, low level has been adjusted to improve matching for mid-level dungeons. Okay, so I guess this means that they're going to favor more mid-level dungeons, so it's not all just Sastasha and Ifrit story mode or how it is at the moment with the really low-level ones. And then it says here a bunch of resolved issues. Don't really want to read them, they're just quite like bug fixes. And confirmed bugs. Now this is an interesting one. This is bugs which are confirmed going into 2.15. So you might want to steer clear if possible, if it's detailed enough. So it says the character becomes uncontrollable by using the Biblios bomb twice on the same location in the daily quest Moxia's Magnum Opus. Please shut down the game client and log in if this issue occurs. So if your character becomes uncontrollable if you use the bomb twice, then just log out the game and log in again. The client may crash upon opening the phishing log using the shortcut key. If cordial is used while the class is not being Disciples of Land, GP will not recover. Okay, so this is basically saying don't waste a cordial, because cordials restore 300 GP. So they're basically saying don't use it unless you're a Disciple of Land, otherwise the GP will just be wasted basically. And it says the stackable HQ item cannot be transferred to the retainer if the retainer's bag is full. Okay, which basically means and the reason this is a bug is because just because it says the retainer's bag is full, it doesn't mean you can't transfer items. Because let's say, for example, in your retainer you have 20 high quality iron ingots and you have on you, let's say, 30. So you should easily be able to throw in those extra 30 on top of the 20 to make 50. But this is saying right now that that doesn't work and it's a bug, and they will fix it. So it says the location of cursor will reset by selecting the quick synthesis option after switching the recipe and the crafting log. So you have to be ready for your mouse jumping around, is what they're saying, when you change item selection when you're using quick synthesis. So don't think your mouse is lost. It is it just might have moved where you're not ready for it. So it says screenshot cannot be taken under certain circumstances. Obviously, certain cutscenes. So they basically say some cutscenes you're not allowed to take screenshots using the in-game function, print screen. So yeah. So it says the demagogue mag may be dyed to a different color, which is not intended because it's one of those unique items which is supposed to be, undyeable. And it says Lakoivi will not spawn in the daily Beast Ride quest luring Lakoiv if the PC moves to a certain distance after defeating the third bronze tortoise. So you have to be careful of that, basically, that not to move too far away from your third turtle if you want the big turtle to spawn. That's what it's saying. So, and that's a bug again they want to fix. And it says NPC Koopla Coop may no longer respond and the quest you have selected Regicide will not progress. Okay, so you have to be careful of that as well, that if Koopla Coop stops responding, then yeah. So yeah, so that's it. That's the patch notes for 2.15. I hope you like the changes. Also as well, today they launched 2 new events, which I've already uploaded onto my channel, if you can check them out if you like, which are also detailed on the lodestone. So let's take a look at them. The first one is called there's golems in the hills, in those hills, which is a crossover basically from Dragon Quest. So that's what this is about. So you can read through this, link in the description, and by doing the fates, which are required for the quest line, you'll get a funny cutscene, and you'll get a pet, this wind-up Brickman pet, and you'll also get this Fug's mug, which is just some ugly hat basically, which you can see in my previous video. And the other is called That Old Black Magic. So this is a crossover from Final Fantasy XI, and this is Shantoto. So she is a powerful black mage who was visiting Eorzea because she has the ability to travel through dimensions. So you can read through this, again, link in the description to find out the story. The reward for finishing the quest line is Wind Up Shantoto, which again you can see in the previous video. And the events, both of them, will run from today, 21st January 2014, until the 3rd of February 2014. So yeah, now I hope you like this style of video. I do have more than 200 Final Fantasy XIV videos on my YouTube channel. So if we go now to YouTube, so my YouTube channel is youtube.com/Mithrie. Obviously, because you're seeing this video right here, so please check out my channel. Please like, favorite, subscribe. I am focused 100% on Final Fantasy XIV at the moment, and I have lots of playlists on my channel. As you can see, these are all the latest videos. These are my most popular ones. You can see here main scenario, so I've played through the entire main scenario from level 1 all the way to 50, and then I completed all of the additional story quests in 2.1 as well. So I'm waiting for the 2.2 story to see what happens next. I have videos covering all the dungeons and raids in the entire game, pretty much. The only ones missing are the new hard modes and turn 5, so I'm going to get on those soon. Got some 60-second crafting guides and just general guides about the game, and I've also got a lot of videos about crafting and gathering, basically explaining how I got all of my crafting classes to 50 and all of my gathering classes to 50, and what tricks and stuff you can do to save time and money. I've covered all of the seasonal events as well in this playlist, and one thing I'm currently working on as well is I'm getting all of my other Disciples of War and magic to level 50 as well. So if I quickly open up, we can see here, there's my character, Mithrie Menethil, Masamune server. My bard is pretty much maximum geared. There's really only very few upgrades I can now get. Like, I can get the bow from turn 5 and maybe 1 or 2 other items, and that's it. So my bard is there basically at the moment. I've got lots of minions, lots of mounts and stuff. I'm going to get a couple more mounts soon. And you can see here my levels. So my lowest level in the game right now is 40, and I'm working at the moment to get all of them to 45, and I've already got all of my Disciples of Hand and Land to 50, as you can see. So I have been playing this game a lot. I do love this game, and if you have any questions or anything, please just ask. I do reply to my videos all the time. It's very easy for me to do. And if you have any requests for videos, anything you'd like to see or see explained on my channel or anything like that, then please just let me know. So thank you for watching, and goodbye from me, and see you